In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bom dia, alegria. Munson here from expatsportugal.com with a Good Morning Portugal show, live stream, and podcast. How are you this morning? Do you know what a drove is? Because Americans have been arriving in them, apparently, coming over to Portugal. I will come back to that. A fascinating article in the Portugal News called There Goes the Neighborhood, penned by Stephen. I'm going to go with Kamielewski. Stephen, anyway, has been writing in the Portugal News about Americans now moving to Portugal in droves. We're going to talk later about free car. Look at this, Portugal. Free car hire for tourists in historic villages of Portugal, not all over the country, but that's a nice little story, over Pete Bleach's way. And it's an interesting article as well from the Portugal Resident that we could look at later. Why waste more, in brackets, time rediscovering our future? President Marcelo talking about, the blue economy, Portugal's relationship with the sea and Portugal's command of it. The reason we're doing that, the reason we're having a look at the news and talking more about what comes up in the chat and the comments is because it's moving to Portugal Thursday, and the wonderful Luis Duarte from Global International Relocations is going to be here with the Q&A, the Moving to Portugal Q&A, with all those questions he can answer from you after we've had a quick hello in the chat. All the questions that Luis would answer. Normally he'd be here at 9, but he's at a conference down in the south of Portugal. So it's better that he does that and can get back to the drinking and networking at the conference. I'm sure he's not doing that really. Or isn't that what people do at conferences? We could ask him in just a moment what he's up to down there, and find out what beautiful part of Portugal he's in as well, that you may well wish to move to here on Portugal, moving to Portugal Thursday. I can see him giggling in the green room. But just very quickly, let's say hello to Deagle this morning. Carl, and depois de nós, 128 comprimentos ou 2 milhas, going for a swim after 128 lengths. Going for a swim after working nights, 128 lengths. I don't know how you do it, Deagle. 2-mile swim after work. We'll watch last hour of show this evening. Swim booked at 9:30. Well, fair enough. You're going to see Luis. Always great fun to talk to Luis. We'll talk about moving to Portugal, all the logistics you need to take care of. And, of course, our mutual love of Portugal. And anything else you think he might be able to help with. Hola, bon dia, Gumpers from Baldilocks. Baldilocks, great to see you. Always checking in the mornings, 8 o'clock there. T-Duck's in. We saw you cheeky rascal, yesterday, T-Duck. Look at this. A picture of me with Dougie yesterday, and T-Duck photo-bombing the picture. There, coming from behind, old T-Duck in the morning there at Samar. Great little meet-up yesterday on the Silver Coast. That was great fun. But sadly, have to miss the show today. But even coming to say that, and has a few Portuguese sayings for us, including, we'll come back to these as well, mais vale pássaro na mão do que dois voando. It is worth more to have one bird in the hand than two flying. There you go. It's an international saying, but you can learn your Portuguese by taking it that way. Better to retain one, good thing to lose two, or more options by being greedy. Very good. More of those to come, including Calquiladra no Morda. It's been raining caos e gatos here on the Silver Coast this morning. I don't know what the weather's like for you in your part of Portugal this morning, or wherever you're tuning in from around the world. And Prof. Eusebio says, Manhã, hippies e beatniks. Cheeky. We'll come back. Well, stay tuned for the Portuguese today in Portuguese. Oh, do excuse me. Today in Portuguese history. I wonder what frog in the throat is in Portuguese. That's sapo. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Gary Orgle's also here. Thrilling Thursday. Have a great day. In fine Fetterland mood this morning, Gary. And hola bon dia from Owen, who was amazing yesterday with his OFC. I wasn't able to control an urge to go eat fast food yesterday, I'm afraid to say, Owen. And James is here. So we'll come back to all your lovely comments and content later on. Pete's in as well. Matty, Ian Turner, back in Blighty, look. And sound, what's that? Safe and sound, though wish I wasn't. Well, wish you weren't back in Blighty, but I'm sure you're glad you're safe and sound there, Coach Turner. Collecting Mrs. T from Stansted later. So I'd better do some house here. Yes, get on with the housework. Clear away those pizza boxes and empty beer bottles on the floor there in the house. Cindy B's here. Jeff's in, Sam Nazare from Australia, Stephen Wells, Zay Delgado. And let me just put a star by that because I think that's a question that Luis will entertain for you. Bon dia from Kathy as well, Michelle in Australia. Fantastic. Nuno's here. Nuno will be here tonight, of course, on our webinar. And insurance, general knowledge about insurance, anything you need to know about insurance to do with Portugal. Nuno is your man. Look, and this is what's happening tonight. Let me just take that comment off the screen or put a different one on. Let me put Nuno's own comment on. Good morning, everyone. Need insurance in Portugal. Everything you need to know tonight from 7:30 until 9 with Nuno. And well done, James, welcoming Zay Delgado this morning. Yes, Baddy's here. Great to see you yesterday, Baddy. And Pam. So the crew are in. So let's bring on to the screen, shall we, so that he can get back to the important work he's doing. I'm not sure if he heard me talking about drinking at conferences earlier on, but Luis, how are you this morning? Tudo bem?
Doing good. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I heard about the drinking one. Not yet. Okay, I'm not drinking right in the morning.
Okay. So where are you?
That
where
was last night. I'm in Carvoeiro.
In the south.
Carvoeiro, yeah.
Tell us about that lovely location, if you will, in near Lagoa. Is that right? Or Lagos?
Yeah, exactly. It's where all the caves are at, so it's quite beautiful. If you see in the back, you see over there? It's quite
lucky
nice.
You.
Huh? Look at that.
Yeah, in the breakfast in the cave. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, well, it's so good to have you here. And thank you for squeezing us in. I know you've got a busy day today and a busy schedule. Can you just tee this off by telling us, I think you've frozen up a bit there, Luis, tipping your camera towards the swimming pool. Maybe it fell in the pool. I don't know. But can you tell us about Global International Relocation for anyone who might not know, who's tuned in for the first time or missed your earlier appearances? Oh, fingers crossed here. Oh, you're back. You're good, man. You're good.
Things about technology.
He's
just
either
going here. I guess I have more Wi-Fi.
I thought you were just returning to the breakfast bar there, but I think maybe to a better and more advantageous position in relation to the Wi-Fi. Let's see if this happens. I guess this goes with the territory. Away for a few days at a conference and trying to tune in for the show. What we'll do is we'll go to Today in Portuguese history while we wait for Luis to get a better connection to the internet, and let's go for it. Very good. Okay, I think Luis is okay. We'll come back to him in just a moment. He's found a better position closer to the Wi-Fi. Today in Portuguese history, and it may be, of course, so many people are getting up and going to the conference, and they're logging on to the hotel's Wi-Fi, which could also be a bit of an issue. But we'll see. We'll come back. He'll be fine in just a moment. Today in Portuguese history, a 2 for 1, 1991 London Marathon, the 11th running of the London Marathon. Is that right? Was won by Rosa Mota in 2 hours 26 and 14 seconds. Mota is one of the most popular sports personalities of the late 20th century. So yesterday, I think we heard of the victory in the Boston Marathon, right? Today, the 1991 London Marathon. Rosa Motta. I'm not a follower of athletics particularly. So a name that has escaped me until now. Thanks, Prof, for that. Motta was the first woman to win multiple Olympic marathon medals, as well as being the only woman to be the reigning European, world, and Olympic champion at the same time. I'm sure Coach Turner is familiar with Rosa Motta there. On the 30th anniversary gala of the Association of International Marathons and Distance Races, AIMS, she was distinguished as the greatest female marathon runner of all time. Isn't that amazing? Why did I not know about her? And today in Portuguese history too. 2000, Captains of April film is screened at the Cannes Film Festival. Capitais de Abril tells a story of the 25th of April revolution, and the plot is closely based on real events. This European co-production was directed by Maria de Medeiros. It was screened in the Uncertain Regard section. Is that right? The Uncertain Regard section. What's that? Of Cannes. The film is available to view free on YouTube, but without subtitles. So you'll have to work hard to keep up with that. But it's, two birds with one stone. That's another twofer, isn't it? 2 for 1 there. Learning about the Carnation Revolution with the Captains of April, and learning a bit more Portuguese at the same time. Luis is continuing to walk through the hotel, I think, to find. He's a trooper. He's a pro, that guy. He's trying to find us a better connection. So let's say a few more hellos until he's done that. Great yesterday, Owen, with your OFC. Bom dia, alegria a todos de Amsterdam. Muito soleiro today. Very sunny Amsterdam for Matty. Still there, though. And asking Pete a question. Are you guys 100% solar? No connection to the EDP grid. So there's another question that's coming up this morning, as well as relocation questions with Luis Duarte, who's back with us in a different position,
Yes.
I think, in the hotel. Thanks for doing that,
Yep.
Luis. I think you got stuck just as we were asking you about your company.
I just had the lady that is cleaning to help me, like to come into a different room. She just opened the door and no, go there. It's better. It's quiet. So I'm
thank
okay.
you so much. Thank you so much to that lady for taking good care of you there. That's wonderful. And so before we left you, I was asking you, GIR, we've abbreviated you on the screen there, but Global International Relocation. What is it you do, and what is your reach around the world, Luis?
Very good. So we are an international mobility company. We support expats in not only moving, but we help them with throughout the processes of actually relocating to another country. All the care of immigration, relocation, the moving itself, the pets transportation. So we do all of that. And we cover pretty much the whole world. Of course, we are established in Portugal, and being in Portugal, this is our house, so importing into Portugal is pretty much like the biggest thing like that we can really help, all expats as they come to Portugal. Of course, exporting, we are also experts. We have about overall we have about 60, 65, 70% of imports now, and the rest is exports. But there was the time that was the opposite, you see. But right now, this is the scenario, and we are indeed experts in international moving. Myself, I was born to say into the moving, and it's basically what we support people in doing. So, any questions with regards to that? Cars, transportation, legalizations, etc. We are ready to support you. Okay.
and the pets as well, of course. Moving of pets. There's some great stories from about that before. So, is this part of your job when there's a conference to go and talk about global international relocation? They send you, do they?
Yes, to a few of them. Like last week, I was in Cannes in a conference as well in France. So it was a different conference. It was more a conference for, we belong to a few associations that measure the quality of the companies. How do you know if an international moving company or relocation company is actually a good company? Is usually by the associations, you see, because we belong to FIDI, which is one of the associations that is, I would say, the one that truly makes quality like an important asset in the companies. And we were at FIDI conference, this in Cannes, because to meet all the other agents, all the other moving companies around the world. You see, so we were there with people from India, Pakistan, Dubai, United States, UK, Netherlands, everywhere in the world. So it was very. It is always very interesting, very good.
Sure. And where else have you been in the world?
Gee, I've been in so many places already, from Singapore to Vancouver, United States, many places there. So it's been a roller coaster, it's been very good.
It's great. And I thought you were on holiday because you were down there in the Algarve, of course, this morning.
Yeah,
Carvoeiro, you were saying briefly that are you near the caves of Benagil there? Is that the place?
exactly. Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Very close to them. Exactly. That's
Yeah,
the exact
right.
place. Uh-huh.
And how is it this morning? I think this is one part of Portugal where it's not raining today.
No, today is not raining. It's actually sunny. As you look at me, I am wearing my suit and I have like this little polo to say, and you would
Yes.
think this guy must be cold. Well, if you see the foreigners, they are all in their t-shirts. But that's Portugal guy.
You're so right. You're so right. I'm sure you've got your overcoat and scarf nearby just in case. But yeah, when,
Just in case. There you go.
when the foreigners arrive in the Algarve, yeah, it's straight down. They're unzipping the bottom part of their zippable cargo pants and down to their t-shirt and shorts and flip flops, aren't they? They
There
can't.
you
They
go.
can't. Yeah. Okay. So we have a question in. I'm not sure that if this is specifically for GR. You probably got an answer for this anyway. I live in the United States, says Jose Delgado, who sounds Portuguese, right? Zay, good morning to you. How can
Yeah.
you move legally and then after a couple of years, can you buy a house? Well, the D7 process sounds like a good starting point for you without knowing
Yeah.
too much about your circumstances, Jose. Would you agree with that there, Luis?
Yes, for sure. Perhaps he has two questions there. He's probably asking about the visa, or he's
Yeah.
probably asking how long does he need to be in the origin country before he actually is able to legally move his goods to to Portugal in the sense.
Oh, okay.
So, because that's another point, even if imagine that you are a US citizen, okay, and you have been living abroad, not in the US, for many years, but now you move to the US and you are there now for 6 months. You would not be able to ship the goods to Portugal, exempt of taxes and duties, because you would need to prove that you were in the US for at least 1 year. You see, so the last location where you live at, you need to prove you are there for at least 1 year, even if you are a citizen of that own country. You see?
Very good. Thank you for picking up on that.
Yeah.
And is that to stop people moving around and taking advantage of a non-personal move? They might be an
Yeah.
importer or exporter doing something a little bit dodgy.
Yeah, probably yes, because this is actually a general rule for all countries and not for Portugal only. You see, so any country you need to be in the origin country for at least 1 year for you to be exempt of taxes and duties. So that's like the rule. And a lot of people say, yeah, but I was in whatever Mexico for 12 years, and I just moved to Houston, which is next door, and I'm there now for 6 months. Can I move? No, it's not possible because it's another country. So you have to complete 1 year in the origin country, unless you would be moving from Mexico. That would be a different story. Okay.
You're talking about the duties. I mean, you can still
Yeah,
move, but you won't be able to
you can
claim
still,
the
of
benefit.
course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still move.
Okay.
Moving is, I always say this, you can move to Portugal anytime with anything. You just want to move, you do it, okay? But the difference is, do you want to pay taxes and duties or not? You see, that's the only thing.
You know what?
If you have,
I think we know the answer to that for most people.
exactly, it's usually no. Well, actually, no, Carl. Actually, sometimes it's better to do actually to pay taxes and duties, because a lot of people, they only want to bring just small stuff to Portugal. Imagine,
Yes.
you are wanting to come to Portugal, you want to travel light, or you want to just be in Portugal for one small period, 1 2 years, but you don't want to bring the whole thing with you. You see, so A lot of people want to bring like 5 cubic meters, 3, 5 cubic meters, no more than that, which is really like the personal items that they want to take. So imagine, for those guys, my advice would actually be go and pay taxes and duties, because you don't need to wait for any documents. You don't need to
Yeah.
take care of literally anything to come to Portugal, but the NIF number, which is a very simple thing, as we all know in Portugal. So and you do the move, you'd pay a very minimum price for taxes and duties, and you would be off to go, in Portugal with a move. So I would believe for some cases, paying taxes and duties would be better than actually going through the whole process of going, to the consulate at the origin country, pay for the documents there, then have, the trouble to go here to a junta de freguesia, get another document,
Okay.
getting everything together wastes time and money, of course. And so you just pay a little bit more, and you are good to go. Four small moves. All right, let's make this
Well,
clear.
okay. Well, thank you. Who knew? Luis Duarte knew, of course, from Global International Relocation this morning. And then the other part of Jose's question here is, after a couple of years buying a house in Portugal, you don't have to wait, do you? As long as you've got your NIF number and a bank account here, you don't have to live here or be Portuguese to buy a house in Portugal. That's right, isn't it, Luis?
Yeah, from my understanding, yes, it's right.
Yeah.
You don't need to
Okay.
be a Portuguese citizen to buy a house in Portugal. That's not a problem.
Okay, so let us know there. Is that everything you needed to know from us, Jose Delgado? Is there anything else we can help you with on that? Did we understand your question correctly? Let's see what else people are saying. Kathy's here. Bon dia. Enjoying first attempts of learning the language. I can say gusto de chá e de café. Priorities. Well, that's the way to learn, isn't it? I don't think we've asked you this question before, Luis. Your tips for learning Portuguese. You're in among a global audience or gathering
Uh-huh.
of colleagues coming to the conference. Is there much Portuguese being spoken in the Algarve at the moment in those circles? I'm guessing not.
No, English, pretty much English, because
That's
we are here. This is actually a conference for people that wants to be retired in Portugal. You see, that wants
okay.
to come and
Yeah.
retire in Portugal. So, of course, you'll hear pretty much English, and Portuguese. I only speak with a few people, but even with the Portuguese guys here, I'm speaking in English. So yeah, go figure. But
Well,
Algarve, before, you would arrive into Algarve and you have Algarve with one L. Today you come into Algarve and you have Algarve. You see, so pretty much it's telling you already which language do we speak in Algarve. You see, so
seriously, is that
yeah.
what English people call it? Is the Algarve? No
There
way.
you go. I don't know, most
I can't
likely.
believe
So
that. I speak English mainly. I mean, believe it or not, everybody here. But that sounds wrong to me. That sounds so wrong, and a massive liberty to take with the language. What's your advice for people learning Portuguese? Then, have you got any tips for us?
I can actually tell you, like, how I learned English, because I was actually a missionary in the US, and before, I actually didn't speak any English at all. And a funny story is that the first time I'm getting in the plane, I was 20 years old, and you look at me, you were, how old are you now? So, but I am. So I was 20 years old, and I was landing in Chicago, and I get, to customs. So as I'm getting to customs, I have two lines, and pretty much these two lines had the same number of people. So I had to make a decision. One said citizens, the other one said foreigners. So I look at both. I don't know what they mean, and I'm like, oh, let me go to this one. So I went to the citizens one, and I was like, oh, gee, wrong choice, because I got there, and then the policeman was like, blah, 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 go that way. As I
Oh,
turned to the other way, it was a huge line of, only Chinese people. They were probably landing from China, something like that. And I was like, oh no, how do I do this now? Like a you. And I was like, oh gee, I was freaking out. But that was my English at the time. Like, I would know that. And one of the ways I learned very well was by the phonetics. I had actually this wonderful little book that taught me how to say the words in English as I would say them in Portuguese. You understand? So
Oh, really?
the
Right.
phonetic, the way that I actually speak in Portuguese. And
Yes.
for anyone to learn Portuguese, I would actually advise you to try to look into or books or any course that help you, with the phonetics to understand like how do I know this in English? Because then you'll remember that much better. And of course,
Very
then
good.
it's normal, like you just pick up, and then you start to dream in Portuguese, and that's when you really like, oh man.
That's the transition we hope to make, is dreaming of Portugal and then dreaming in Portuguese. Now, there's
But
something else I want to thank you for that. Oh, sorry. Did you want to add something else to that?
I was just going to say, but mostly, just go around not speaking English and just say, como é que dizes this word? How do you say that? So, como é que se diz isto? Como é que se diz aquilo? And then you go and you ask all those questions. I was just in France, and I was always asking them, como é que vous diz? And I would show the thing, and they were like, oh, okay. So I would say, oh, I would just
You,
speak, trying to in French. So whatever.
that's really helpful. So, como é que se diz?
Como
Is that
é que se diz isto? You know,
sorry?
how do you say
Como,
that? Como se diz? Como se diz isto? Telefone,
como é que se diz?
telemóvel. Oh,
Como é
okay.
que se diz
You see, so
isto? Well, that's interesting, because I'm going to be looking as well later on in the show about a company called Isto, who make clothes in the most incredible way, with a transparent pricing policy, really good quality clothing, delightful to find here in Portugal, and they've got a superb ethical, I think, supply chain, and a really good way of telling you how the pricing or the prices they arrive at, and they're called Isto. So we'll look at them. So como es de isto? Have I got that
como
right?
se diz isto?
This,
Como se
oh, Luis, this is what
well,
happens when you start unpacking a Portuguese sentence. You realize there are 27 words in there that you've made it sound like there's only 3 words. So can we have that one more time?
como se diz isto? Oh, like this, Pamela is saying, como é que se diz? You see?
But that's really helpful. That's a really helpful tip that you've given us, and Pam's helping us too, an English person who's
There
learned to
you go.
speak very well. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So before you go back to your conference, and you may have a comment on this morning, and we'll see if we have any other questions coming in this morning about anything to do with moving to Portugal. Luis Duarte is here from GIR. There goes the neighborhood. It's a question, not a statement. Whatever you think about them, Americans are now moving to Portugal in droves, which I thought was a method of transport, but of course it's just large numbers, isn't it? What are
Yes.
you seeing? What are you seeing in your numbers of people coming to Portugal? Is that reflected in what you're seeing at GIR?
It is. It is. It is well reflected in what I have been seeing, indeed. And actually, we at Global International, we have been doing mainly. The last year was a huge percentage of people coming from the US. We have indeed a lot of Europe, but the US, you have with the D7 visa, a lot of people want to get out of the just living in the US for so long, and they want to come to a chill country where you can actually have a very good quality of life, not only of life but of teaching as well for the kids.
Yeah.
And it's a quiet place, like Portugal is very secure. You can go anywhere. If you have a teenager, you can allow your teenager just to go out and to be free at night, and is not going anything to happen to him, you see. So this is important. And I see a lot of people from the US. I had this couple coming from Hawaii, imagine. And I was like,
Yes,
no one would ever want to come from Hawaii to Portugal. Yeah, and they
indeed.
did. So imagine, they came from Big Island to Portugal, and now
Yeah.
they are looking into places in Portugal to act. They are actually traveling around, you see, and they do have kids. So imagine that. It's neat to see, because you can still keep your, let's say, your job as you are in the US, but you are actually living in a much better country, I have a few clients actually that have gone to the US to work, and they're also thinking about, because of this opportunity to come as a remote work and all of that. This has all come to help us in that sense.
Too
Portugal
true.
is a secure country. Even last night, I was actually with an American who is here, and he's in Switzerland living. Go figure. But the interesting thing was that and he plays rugby. So that was an interesting thing. He doesn't play American football, rugby. Look at that. That's cool. An American guy playing rugby, living in Switzerland. That was cool.
He's quite.
And yeah, but like imagine we had a very wonderful dinner, and in the end of the day, like he looks at the tip and it's like, oh, at the receipt, only that, you see. So imagine it's like that. Portugal is wonderful in prices, wonderful in quality of life. You can have time for a lot of stuff and still enjoy your family, while working. So why not
Yeah.
Portugal? And yeah,
Yep.
a lot of people from the US coming here. Probably
Okay.
Lisbon will be the next English speaking town. We'll see if we'll start to be not Lisboa, but literally Lisbon. Let's see.
Yeah, we got to draw the line somewhere. That's not right. That's not right.
Yeah, I'm
That-
just kidding you, but yeah, most likely. Let's see.
we do have a question going back to the paying of duty and taxes. Must one pay taxes and duties if you move with several suitcases of stuff? So I think some people are thinking this is the way they want to do it. They're minimalists. They don't want to get a container. When they come into the airport, I guess they might get stopped by the immigration and be asked questions about what they're bringing in. But generally speaking, most people come in with a backpack and they're not paying anything in that way, are they?
Well, they don't, and it's a very simple reason. Just remember, like when you are moving, when you are traveling in the airplane, you are actually representing your goods. Okay, so basically, for instance, there's a person who is the dispatcher. In any move, you need to have a dispatcher. And why do you need a dispatcher and not yourself? Because the dispatcher is the legal person to actually go into a customs and to import anything. You see, so in Portugal works like that. Now, as you are flying and you take your luggages, who is doing the job? Who is the person presenting themselves to the authorities at customs? It's oneself. You see, so I am my own dispatcher. So I'm there and I have a little paper saying that I am traveling and I brought X amount of bags. So the number of bags, usually it's not important. Of course, the airline is probably going to stop you from, taking your whole house in the backpacks. That's probably going to happen. But but most likely, they must have a limit per person. I'm sure of that. And in the end of the day, you just bring your own backpacks or own suitcases, and that's it, because you are the one dispatching them. So, and you are traveling with them. So no taxes and duties to be paid unless you bring stuff into Portugal that is not something used, and that is not something, or is something that you just bought. Of course, then, as Carl said, you can be stopped. Authorities will go to the side, check all your bags, and if you bring a lot of them, it'll be a long time. And they will go through them and say, you know what, you should pay taxes on this, or you should pay taxes on that. And then you need to pay it there immediately.
Right. It might be a little bit suspicious if you've got 5 laptops and 5 mobile phones in their boxes.
There you go.
But if it's your stuff and you've had it for a while, you should be fine there. That was who was that? That was Sam Nazare asking that question. An interesting point from the prof here. If you have to Jose Delgado, who was talking to us earlier, if you have Portuguese parents or grandparents, you can skip the D7 process. It seemed the most likely. I think I did say that. But yes, there are other methods and means of coming in. And with it sounds like you have some Portuguese ancestry there, Jose. So that might be worth looking at as well, right?
And again, the important thing to say on that is that if you do have, Portuguese ancestors or great parents or grandparents or whatever, is you can actually get the citizenship, but you still need to go through a process to get it. Okay, so let's not make it as, no, I have my grandfather, he was a Portuguese man, let me travel to Portugal now and I'll be okay. It's not quite like that, okay?
Don't try that at the airport, anybody, okay? Don't just turn up.
Don't you know my grandfather is Portuguese man?
He lived just down the road here before this was an airport.
There you go. Yeah. Well, just to make sure of that, that's important.
Good point. Now, to finish here, I want. And this is not fair at all. Algarve is Portugal light. Not, I understand what you're saying there, Prof, but that's a bit naughty this morning. It can be authentic, and we're going to ask Luis as a final question what he ate last night at that meal that you had with the American who plays rugby who lives in Switzerland. We were talking about migash yesterday, and Gary prepared his own version of migash live on the show. Check it out if you haven't seen that. And after yesterday's program of preparing and eating migash, he's found a way to replace Russian gas supplies. Okay, well done, Gary. That's quite a good solution. But what did you eat? What is the speciality when you as a Portuguese person going to the Algarve? What did you have for dinner, and what are you looking forward to for the rest of your time now?
As we are in the ocean, I just had sea bass. In Portugal, you have they serve you, grilled sea bass is very good. That's what I had.
Yes.
This guy, he had actually chicken piripiri, which everyone knows as well. So it's a very common plate in Portugal. So yeah, it was very, very good actually. The sea bass was wonderful. I really liked it.
You and me both. I had a robalo yesterday myself here on the Silver Coast. Yeah, as you live in a beautiful part of Portugal anyway, don't you? In Sintra. But when you go to the Algarve, what is a Portuguese man pleased to see or experience down in the Algarve?
Well, honestly, for a Portuguese people, they always come to Algarve in the summertime because they always want just a warm place and go to the beach. For a Portuguese people, we are not too picky. It's pretty much like the English. We just want the beer and just that. That's it. So beer and tapas. That's it. We are very happy with that. So, and yes, a lot of Portuguese people like all the seafood. The seafood. What I mean is shrimp, lobster. How do you say the other one? Not lagosta, but sapateira. I don't know the name in English. The crab. Exactly, crab. Yeah. Okay. So Portuguese people truly like that. And in the summertime, as you already know, the snails,
Yes,
the
caracóis.
Caracóis, there you go. So caracóis with little toasts. We like ameijoa. Ameijoa is very good with toasts, with butter. Yeah. Oh, I like that. It's morning time, but I'm already starting to be hungry, with this conversation.
Sorry about that. Okay, I'm sure you can go back to the breakfast buffet now. Thank you so much for squeezing us in this morning. I know you're busy and you're at the conference. Thank you for telling us all about that.
I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you.
That's how to get in touch with Luis for a quote on anything to do with moving to Portugal. Go to our business directory and you'll see them there, Global International Relocation. And I think that's so funny. You like the Algarve, but it's just a bit too cold at the moment.
Well, I always like to protect myself. Let's say it in this way.
There you go. Algarve is the most authentic. Just have to hang with the Portuguese. That's right. Stop it with your nonsense, Prof, this morning. So much of the Algarve, it goes against the stereotype that you may have there. You of all people, Professor. Luis, thank you so much for being here this morning. Have a great conference, and we'll see you again next month.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much. You guys take care. Okay.
All the best. Have a good one. Bye for now. Okay, there he goes. Luis Duarte. Always great stories with Luis there. And yes, to come, we're going to go through this article. I'm going to come back to your comments because we had to go to Luis a little bit early there. He's busy at the conference, but there goes the neighborhood. The story of Stephen Kamielewski. I'm going to go for this time. Whatever you think about them, Americans are now moving to Portugal in droves, it says there. And some interesting statistics in that article, and interested to know what you are thinking along those sorts of lines. I want to tell you about Easter. I might go there right now and play you a little video. I think we need to come back to your comments first of all, don't you? And of course, that free car hire. If you're coming to Portugal and you go to central Portugal, you can get free car hire. I think it's all part of the electric vehicle propaganda, I'm going to call it this morning, or sweetening people up towards the use of electric cars. And maybe the idea of not having your own car, is that the future? electric cars and not owning your own vehicle. You just jump into the nearest electric vehicle, perhaps it is. And to the resident, the Portugal resident, why waste more time rediscovering our future? That's the president asking that, talking about Portugal's exploitation, you might say. I think that's part of the tone of this article, of the ocean. The blue economy, it's called over here. So let's go first to Isto then. I do like to look at Portuguese clothing brands from time to time. And oh no, I said we would go to your comments first, didn't I? But let me just to finish that particular theme, or a little bit of a teaser for you. I've enjoyed finding Truja Mosha, the clothes. Well, they make more than clothes. They're a craft. They've got a craft approach to making all sorts of things for yourself and the home, with a Portuguese work ethic, a Portuguese design ethic, and Portuguese materials. And you can find them, I think, mainly in Coimbra. We also talked to Souvenir, didn't we? An amazing young entrepreneur from Souvenir. So there is amazing apparel brands, I think you Americans call them, clothing brands, and what I really love about them is the fact that they are using Portuguese materials, and you can feel like you're wearing Portugal whilst you're in Portugal, or you can order and grab that sort of stuff and take it home with you as a souvenir when you get back to wherever your country of origin. Now, the other part of this, of course, is I've noticed recently, I've been buying underwear and socks from a chain store. Mo, I'm going to call, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to name it, and it's not their fault. It's just the business model they're involved in. But these things don't. It might be a sizing issue that I keep breaking the underpants. Just saying. But I noticed with the socks seem to only last a few weeks, and they're cheap. And they're mass-produced, and they're probably made by children and or very poorly paid workers. And that sticks in the craw of many of us here, doesn't it, increasingly? So the other great thing about Isto, and I think Truja Mosha and the Portuguese brands, is you might be paying a bit more, but it's right that you pay a little bit more. You're investing in the Portuguese economy, and you're buying things where I hope and I suspect, judging by the prices, and we'll have a little look at a video for, Jimmy Choo's here, everybody. We'll look at a video which shows us really that how the money should be spent and where it's being spent. Oh, me and Jimmy having a little moment here. Hello, mate. How are you? I know you didn't get a walk this morning, but that's because it was peeing down. It was raining cats and dogs this morning, matey. Okay, so before we go to Isto, then let's have a look at what you're saying in the comments. Migash made live on the show yesterday by Carvoeiro, in case you're trying to understand his earlier comment there. What else have we missed this morning? Abel's in, everybody. Good morning, friends, from the very sunny Pulsar this morning. And James, reiterating the fact that there are no taxes and duties when you move with only a suitcase, a carry-on and a backpack. But let's make this really clear. It must be your used stuff. You can't be using that as a sly way of importing brand new things into the country. You might get stopped and you may be asked to explain yourself. And if you have got brand new laptops and electrical goods and so on, you may well have to pay import duty on those things. Andy's here. We're looking at the unfolding story, aren't we, of Andy, Wanda and Millie. Morning Glamper, says Andy. Looks like the Captain of April is on YouTube and does have English subtitles now. Result. Fantastic. Maybe it wasn't made with English subtitles, but it's a YouTube feature now that's doing that for you. Excellent weather report from Nuno, who we'll see tonight on the webinar. Cloudy day today, but let's allow an inner shining day inside each of us. Oh, yes, sir. That's really good. He relocating. What's this? I wonder. Nuno, a question for you. Jimmy, you cannot come in here and then pull my headphones off my head, you naughty boy. As funny as that might be for the people who are watching us here, did you want to say hello again? You need to get higher onto the screen if you want to be seen, my boy. There is there is a Portuguese insurance that can insure my Dutch license plate car if I have started the matriculation process and have a DAS form. That's double Dutch to me, all of that. I don't know what's being said there, but I suspect Nuno does. Laura P. Hello, Laura. Fantastic to see you here this morning. Hola, todos from you. Oh, we've got some catching up to do here, haven't we? Michelle, bon dia. Yeah, I was in quite a hurry to get Luis onto the screen because he has a conference to go to, encouraging more people, I suspect, to come to probably the Algarve. that part of Portugal this morning. Midlife Crisis World Tour. Was that the one with Bruce Willis in it? Is that the name of the movie then, Midlife Crisis World Tour? It sounds like it could be a Bruce Willis movie. Bruce hasn't been so well as he recently, but in his prime, I can see him as being a very good actor to play the part of Prof. Eusebio. Can't you? Jimmy, stop it. Oh, he always finds a way of destroying things. He's the quiet assassin, the technology assassin here. Remember that time when he came in and pulled? Look, you're going to have to go now. If you're going to be silly, you're going to have to go. Okay? You see, Matty, he sat down when I started talking to him masterfully like that. I think he's had enough and he's going now. Oh, he's lying down. Good boy. That's it. Praise where it's due. Dimitri Martin quote of the day, saying I'm sorry is the same as saying I apologize, except at a funeral. Oh, and we had those fantastic Portuguese phrases, didn't we, from T-Duck to go through this morning. A slightly remixed moving to Portugal Thursday. That said, if you've tuned in and you're wondering what on earth is going on and you have any questions about moving to Portugal, ask them. We have an amazing community here. You can also ask on our forum at expatsportugal.com/community. But ask here among this amazing community here, many of whom have moved to Portugal already and will be glad to share with you their experience and information. Carl Caladra no morda, a dog that barks does not bite. I would have translated that on first sight as a dog that barks is not dead, which is pretty obvious. But you know, you could extract some pithy wisdom from that. But dog that barks does not bite. The people who are the loudest, most obnoxious, threatening, or arrogant are the ones who do not have the guts to actually take action. Yes, it's the old empty vessel syndrome, isn't it? Making the most noise. Kada, these are a bit severe and strict this morning, aren't they? Sort of thing, you know, a grumpy granddad might say. Not saying that's you, T-Duck, this morning. Kada macaco, no se gallo, each monkey to its own branch, meaning each person is responsible for their task and should not interfere with other people's work or life when they are not asked to. So if you have an interfering colleague or family member, try that, bust that out later on today in your best. You could either Portuguese or English, depending on your audience. Maybe both, if you really want extra impact there. But that's great. Cada macaco, no se gallo. And again, I would have said, you know, each monkey to his own chicken. But that's an entirely different scenario that we go into saying that. Okay, back in Blighty, Izzy and Cindy B's here with a bon dia alegria gumpers. No doubt encouraging you to fondle that like button. Is it making any difference? And are people enjoying what happens now when you touch the like button here on YouTube? I think something's changed there, as we were saying yesterday. 18 months since our builder paid for a connection, and EDP are reliably unreliable. Still waiting. Paid 18 months ago and still not connected to the grid for selling to the grid. Have you got any nice bit of cheap electricity? You can sell us down a pub, Pete. He plays the ghost of Salazar. Seriously? No. Bruce Willis playing the ghost of Salazar in one of those dirty singlets. Morning, Cindy from Owen, and bon dia gumpers from Jeff this morning on an Ola bon dia I missed earlier on from Sam Nazare, Stephen Wells in too. How you doing? And Jose Delgado, I hope we did you proud earlier on, and we are proud of you, Kathy, with having a go, ordering tea and coffee. That's the way to learn the things you need to know. There's no point really anymore learning how. I say, my good man, could you tell me where I could find a cobbler whereupon I can have my shoes resold? Those old-fashioned things from phrase books are not needed anymore, are they? Or maybe they are. I guess somebody today is going to need that, aren't they? And come back tomorrow and say, I did need to know how to say that because my shoe fell apart soon after the show. Bon dia, Carl. Hope you're enjoying life. I certainly am. Who wouldn't be hanging out with you guys this morning? All doable from James, and in relatively short order, 6 months. So to get here on a visa, and you can buy a house without ever coming here if you want. Keep tuning in. Thank you, James, for working the room. Talking of ectoplasm, were we? You and Doug being taken by a random from behind. This is why people keep coming back. Do you want to see the evidence of that? It's okay. Don't be concerned. But yeah, let's just dwell upon this photo for a moment there. Thank you, Pete, for that interpretation. Samar yesterday, great to see you, Dougie. Great to see so many people at the Silver Coast meetup. New people. and some of the regulars as well. Great to see you. Mrs. Does it get... I am enjoying life, hanging out with my buddies here on the Good Morning Portugal show, with my dog by my feet and a coffee coming in from the delightful Mrs. He's going, is he? Hear that? Outside. She doesn't take any nonsense. Watch this. Let's see if this works. Just let's see if Mrs. M's got the... He's looking at me as if to say, you're not going to make me go with her, are you? Okay, that's the way to do it. Hoof his butt. Okay. No animals were harmed. No animals were harmed in the eviction of Jimmy Chu from the studio this morning. Don't worry, everybody. Back to, that's T-Duck, in case you're wondering what the T-Duck looked like. There he is, behind Douglas and I. Great to see you, Dougie. 2,000 miles of driving across Europe so far. I think you said something like that. Thank you for your contribution to the Portuguese economy in terms of diesel. You're filling up with diesel over here, but so good to see you yesterday, and everybody who turned up yesterday. Great fun, including Bob and Sandra. Now, Bob and Sandra, special shout out to Bob and Sandra, who at one who was it who said to them? I think T-Duck, we were chatting. Are you here because of Expats Portugal or Carl's show? Carl's show? What show? Didn't know you did a show. I know Bob and Sandra because their son, Alex, shout out to you as well, Alex, came to stay with us. And apparently we were a good influence. Can you believe it? We were a good influence on him. And apparently he came to Europe as a boy and returned as a man, having taken on a new level of responsibility and outlook and insight on his journey here. So hello to all of you, a wonderful family, Bob, Sandra, and Alex. So good to meet up and finally meet you and say hi. And lovely hanging out with you and everybody yesterday at the Silver Coast Meetup. Michael from Serenity was there as well, and his colleague. I'm so sorry, I've forgotten your name. Forgive me. Who was there? And we've talked to her on the webinar as well. I'm so sorry I forgot your name, but it was so delightful talking to you as well, because we did talk about the American influx with you yesterday, and it was so good to get your Portuguese view of life in Portugal. Really, really good. Somebody who grew up in Peniche, just down the road, and remembered coming to San Martino, where we had our meetup yesterday, as a child. Great discussion, great chat with you yesterday, and everybody. So come join us Wednesdays 1 till 3, the Silver Coast Meetup. What else is being said here? Deagle with a weather report. Blue skies in Belfast, a lovely 16 to 17 degrees yesterday. It was stunning here. It's really... I think I might get a little break in the rain to take the dogs out. That's why Jimmy Chu came in, just wanted to be taken out this morning. But it was just proper peeing it down earlier on. Bon dia from Pam. Thank you for your contribution, Pam, earlier on, saving me there. And you've noticed that, haven't you? You know, Luis was saying that, you know, how do you say this? How do you say that? It sounded like he was saying 3 words. And as we unpacked it, it became 5 or 6, didn't it? The words do get eaten. Bon dia, Algria. It was lovely to meet up yesterday and already looking forward to the next one. Nice one, Baddy. Great to see you. You see, Baddy enjoyed herself there yesterday. Bon dia, you lovely lot. How is the land down under? That's to Michelle and Sam, isn't it? Thanks, such a slug magnet. I understand. Anyone tuning in would be quite thrown by that, wouldn't they? A man called Jose Delgado says on the screen, thanks, such a slug magnet. What happened? That must be autocorrect. It isn't. That's actually what he's calling himself. I understand Portuguese, but do not speak it. My main native language is Spanish. And you might be talking then. Now, I've erred on the side of caution here and said to people, look, yeah, okay, maybe you do speak Spanish, but you can't just be busting out the Spanish everywhere you go in Portugal. It doesn't really work like that. It can even cause offense sometimes. But there is Portuñol, people, Spanish people, and Portuguese people. I think if you need to check first, possibly, you know, falar Portuñol, see, and then you get cracking with what the 80% allegedly shared in vocabulary or thereabouts, or, you know, you can recognize the words and the commonalities between Spanish and Portuguese there. Didn't know that until last weekend. Portuñol. Okay, Michelle talking to James. I recorded a heap of bird sound videos, but they all came out sideways. I will sort out this. What? That's when you take a picture the wrong way, it comes out sideways. You can record sound sideways. Apple, what have you been up to now? And yeah, talking of recordings, T-Duck did try and record a little bit of background banter and atmosphere. But when I told him how delightful it was to see his hairy muff, which was his the sound, you know, the whatchamacallit, it was to cut down the wind, which doesn't make it any sound any better, does it? And maybe Gary needs one of those. He just collapsed. He collapsed in a heap of laughter and giggling, and I don't think we got any further than that. I don't know if Nuno, if you were able to help with this one for Matty there. You've a great head start, says James, with the understanding part and advantages and disadvantages with the speaking as a Spanish speaker, but mostly advantages. This is a great place to discover all you need. Thank you, James. And another comment too, Jose. Monday mornings are devoted to the immigration process. Doing a better job than me this morning, James. Thank you very much. Feed 2 birds with 1 crumb. That sounds a bit mean, doesn't it? But I guess, needs must sometimes. For I can't wait to see them. Oh, do you dedicate any time to searching out and listening to birds? Are you a birder? Are you a twitcher, as we call them in the UK? Indeed, I do remember Rosa Motta. I was distance running at the time and was actually in London for that race. I ran it 5 years later, very badly, says Coach Tenner, but that's brilliant. Knowing Rosa Motta, or knowing of Rosa Motta there. An uncertain regard. It sounds like an 80s album, Midlife Crisis. Sounds like it could have been one of yours. And so to bed. A certain glance. The section presents 20 films with unusual styles and non-traditional stories seeking international recognition. It's a French thing, isn't it? Imagine in French, a glance certain. Sounds pretty sexy and enigmatic, and hence a film category of that name. What time did you do it in? He didn't say, did he? I don't think he wanted to say, Pete, but you're trying to pull that out of him. Who were the people that won after getting a taxi halfway around the course? Who for the days of less monitoring? Record time. Got an Uber halfway. I really just watched them and their daily habits here in the backyard. It's a bit of rainforest, so there's a lot going on. I love the sound of the Australian rainforest. Please do record that for us if you can. We're not too fussy when it comes to technology and sound quality. You might have noticed. Sunny here in the Algarve. Victoria, you're absolutely right. I'm taking a quick look at my weather. Lisbon raining, 12 degrees. Lisbon still raining in Fahrenheit of 54. Porto, a few clouds and rain forecast today, high of 15. Coimbra, 8 degrees. Portuguese people with 6 layers on still in Coimbra. 17-degree high, though, but rainy for the next until a week. 7 days of rain in central Portugal and Porto. And Lisbon, 4 days of rain. A break on Monday and then more rain. But Faro, you're right, Victoria. 11 degrees, clear sky, 17 degrees the high today. A bit cloudy, but occasional sun and rain coming tomorrow for you, Friday. And talking of sunshine in the Algarve, we should have Frank with us tomorrow. A bit of feel-good Frankie action tomorrow. Always great fun to talk to Frank. I'm giggling already. Andy, morning. Glampers looks like, yes. Okay, thank you for that, Andy. How's it going? We haven't had an update from you on your itinerary or plans or anything like that. Bit cloudy in Lisbon, says Antonio F. Rain expected in the afternoon. We'll make English people of everybody soon at this rate. Won't we, talking about the weather? Can we get health insurance through your company while we're in Portugal for a month? Of course you can, OLP. Tune in tonight to the webinar or just make contact. I am safe at winsurance.pt. No taxes and duties. Oh, okay, we've done that one. We're jumping about in the comments this morning. Yes, clouds will be moving in and rain expected tomorrow, so must do laundry today. Half an hour to go here on the Good Morning Portugal show, podcast and live stream. Got a couple of interesting articles to get through. The key is having the NIF and paying taxes. Yes, of course. How are taxes on moving raised? If one is driving over the border, who will check? Not being checked yet. Don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but where there's a will, there's a way. You give your NIF number when you make purchases and register yourself at Finanzas. Jose, you're getting a massive team helping you this morning, I would say. Costa de Blackpool. Stop. He's so naughty, isn't he, Prof. Eusebio? His central Portugal snobbery there, honestly. What are you like? He's been very methaney. He's had a little bit of a warning there. If you are making your own migash, according to, it's literally my gas, isn't it? Migash. There, that's one way of looking at it. João F's here. Bom dia a todos. And morning, João. And como que se diz? How do you say that? Or how do you say this? Do you remember Tony Cascarino turned out to have no Irish link? Is that what's happening there? Why are you saying that? Is that somebody who moved to Ireland and claimed Irish ancestry but didn't have any at all? Just turned up at the airport and tried that? Yes. What do we say when we get there? Yes, my grandfather was Irish, to be sure. Okay, yeah, that'll do. Come on in. Droves of Americans. Reminds me of Kew Gardens. They had a little obesity bus. What? That herded them together and ferried them around. Sometimes it was more fascinating to watch them than the flowers there. A drove. That isn't the collective noun for Americans, I can assure you. And Rebel Mama vem a Lisboa nos dias 7 e 8 de maio. Talvez possamos almoçar todos. Look at that, arranging your social calendar via the comments of the Good Morning Portugal show. Bon dia, Carl and friends. Great to see you yesterday, Kate. And great explanation. Aha, the visual of carrying the entire household in suitcases. You know, I do think people sometimes do try that on at the airport. We've all seen them there, haven't we? With 27, you know, got all the kids pushing 2 trolleys. Dad's pushing 5 trolleys. Mum's got a couple as well. We've seen them at the airport. Worth a try. One of the most frustrating things about Portuguese is that what you read is not what you say. Amote turns out to sound more like amot, which is not so lovely. Is that from your own experience there, Gary, trying that? I heard that if you know a rabbi and can get him to say his great-grandparents shared a sheep with you, you can get into Portugal. Is this accurate? No, it is not, Pete. Algarve is the most authentic. You just have to hang with Portuguese. You do. And that's true, isn't it? Wherever you go. The food, she says, in the Algarve. The scenery. The chill life is here. Oh, you make it sound so good. Crab. And crab. Bon dia, dear Joao. Just back. Just back. Good to see you. Fish, dried salted cod straight out of the ocean. Pete, how many shredded wheat have you had this morning? Well, my Algarvian view has been greatly expanded. Okay, thank you. Thank you for flying the flag for the Algarve this morning, Victoria. Fantastic. Let's just take a little bit of a break. I need to sip on this coffee before it goes cold and go to Isto. I think you're going to like this. Those of you who would like to pay the right price for clothing, whereby the people who've made it, the clothing, get properly paid. You know, the ones behind the scenes. No sweatshops here. No exploitation of young children and poorly paid workers. We're looking at this price breakdown of the year 2021. I'm wondering if you'll be able to hear this, but you'll at least be able to see the visuals while I slurp on my coffee in the background. Let's see if this will play for you. No. Yes.
Right where you are, you're sitting in an electrical matrix of energy beyond belief, or most human conception. You'll be surprised at how much knowledge and communication can be turned on its way.
Now, I think this is lovely.
Right where you are, you're sitting in an electrical matrix of energy beyond belief, or most.
Okay, not again, Ishto, but thank you very much for that. Now, you see, Coca-Cola aren't going to be doing that, are they? Here you are buying, I don't know how much a Coca-Cola is. Let's say it's a euro. They're not going to publish the fact that it cost them 1 cent to make, 20 cents in marketing and distribution, and the rest is profit on really unhealthy soda. Look, let's make it clear, they say. They're telling you what it costs to make the beautiful things that they create at Isto. Okay, I think that's a great start to talking to you about this wonderful company. And I'm going to show you a few of the items now. I think this is my, are they called a clothier? My what would it be called? The purveyors of clothing. Let's go with purveyors of clothing, shall we? Isto, isn't that beautiful? And it's not cheap, but it's all relative, isn't it? And it shouldn't be. Clothing shouldn't be cheap because somebody has had to pay the price somewhere with these things. So here we go. Let's have a look. They've got a classic tee, 34 euros, range of colors. Oh, I see. Very nice website as well. And Mrs. M thought, she wasn't being rude, but she was saying, I don't quite look like these models. And would these clothes look the same on me? I'm a clothes horse. What do you mean, Mrs. M? Oxford shirt. That's nice. I think that would work. I can get a Breton shirt. Look at that. Linen shirt at 95 euros. These are the real prices. This is probably what you should be paying. And I love that car coat, everybody. 275. Might have to save up for that bad boy. But I had a lovely Mac like that. And I think that's a really nice item of clothing, apparel. Cotton sweater at 90 euros there. And as I say, you're paying I think you're paying what you should be paying. When you look at the breakdown of what they get from these, the profit they make after all the deductions have been made and people have been paid properly for their work, it seems very fair and reasonable. And I would welcome more of this sort of transparency when it comes to retail and consumerism. A nice polo shirt there. These things look really well made. Let's have a look at the work jacket. Can we dive deeper? Yep. Made in a range of sizes from extra, extra small for an action man right through to extra, extra large. 179. That's it's like a Dougie. There's a kind of utilitarian, utility blazer, right? To go alongside your your range of broadcasting jackets. I think these are lovely. Buttons on there, 15 cents. Labels, 19 cents. Labor, someone's getting paid 35. And that still doesn't sound that much, does it? To be paid for knocking one of those up. 34 euros and 63 cents to make that. Transport, only 80 cents, I suppose, because they're transporting in bulk. The fabrics in that alone are nearly 21 euros. Logistics, 143. And it retails at 225. It's Ishto there, 179. What does that mean? It's not their profit, is it? Because that sum doesn't work out there. So I don't quite know why they're saying 179 and then retailing at 225. But I think the point is well made. Ooh, jeans as well. I think they make jeans. Cotton twill, La Moza jeans. These are the fabrics. And here's a review. I like that jacket a lot. The jacket I bought is well made and quite beautiful. Says, who is this who's given this review? This is Eric. Also known as, who lives in Chevy Chase. Is that actually a place as well as a person? Chevy Chase in the United States. The jacket I bought is well made and quite beautiful. Oh, unfortunately, here we go. This is something you need to be aware of. Portuguese sizing is considerably smaller than US sizing, and the chart they provide was more confusing than helpful. Okay, we need to sort that out, don't we? Exchanges are possible, but they don't cover return shipping from the US. I missed that detail when I made the purchase. So be careful. And I think at those prices, you do want to be trying these things on, don't you? You don't want to just be buying that online there, I don't think. Or know what it is, know what the translation is. Because to me, you see, I'm a large here. I'd be a medium in the UK, but I am a large over here in Portugal. What do you think of these beautiful things? They do women's, forgive me, ladies. Shall we have a quick look at the ladies' clothing as well? Not that I'm considering buying any women's clothing for myself, but there would be nothing wrong with that in this day and age, right? There is a Breton shirt for the ladies too, work jacket. Let's have a look. Women's linen shirt. They're beautiful things, aren't they? Wonderful. Cotton sweaters, tees. Super. Maybe I will buy myself one of them. No. Okay, so what do you think of that? Let me know what you're thinking of this ethical approach to buying clothes. My Algarvian view has been... Oh, that's not about the clothing, is it? Hola, Pasho from Rebel Mama, who I'm sure would agree with buying clothing at the right price where people get paid for the job that they do and not exploited. Gary saying, it must have been the extra large portion I heaped on my plate. Again, not clothing, talking about the food. Yummy, though, enjoying his own migash there. And bon dia, Senor Oficial de Inmigración, my pai, hey, Senor Joaquim de sua aldea. Yes, Joaquim Joaquim of the village. You know him, don't you? I think we're going back a bit in the comments. Can't wait to get to your comments about the clothing. And onward to the There Goes the Neighborhood article about Americans moving to Portugal. I'm not here to colonize Portugal on that note, but to integrate myself into it, to join the wonder of the place and the culture. Let that be said and heard here in Portugal by such a slug magnet. Can you imagine the Prime Minister looking at that? And we've had a memo in from that Good Morning Portugal show where a lot of expats seem to hang out. And this guy says, I'm not here to colonize Portugal, but to integrate myself into it, to join the wonder of the place and the culture. What's his name? Such a slug magnet. These expats are strange, aren't they? The like button is looking a tad neglected this morning. Yes. Would anyone care to give it some love? Erotic novel entry. We haven't had one of those for a while. Carl, you need a reinforced gusset at your age as gravity takes its toll. Thank you for that fashion tip this morning. Follow him on Instagram for more of that sort of stuff. Carl and his self-destructing underpants. Yeah, what tends to happen, I think the fabric is poor quality. You know, this is from Mo. It might be a sizing issue, but I think the fabric is not very good quality. They go to, when they're cutting corners, these mass producers, who are selling these things at the cheapest possible price. Something has to give. And it tends to be when I squat or bend over, and I think, there goes another pair of underpants. It's actually quite embarrassing. I've been trying to sleep in the past 3.5 hours, or since 3:30. But whenever I wake early, I like to tune in for the live show. That is early, 3:30 in the morning. Hope you're well. And I hope that your neighbors in America are hearing you giggle, Jeff. The neighbor is giggling again at 3:30 in the morning and waking us up. I can honestly say I've never heard of someone breaking their unders. Well, remember, Cindy, where you heard it first. You'll never look at me in quite the same way again. Carl, my husband has decided to buy only clothing at the farmer's market. Oh, the stuff he has bought here, or like a string belt, would that be? Baler twine, all made in Portugal, has been holding up very well, and it's very inexpensive to buy. Well, I'm glad to hear his underpants have been holding up very well. Kevlar, is that for you or for me? It's a grey zone. What, my underwear? How very dare you, Nuno. Bon dia todos, Jim. What have you walked into here? Don't forget to bring the pants. How is it that Gumpers are leaving pants at each other's houses? That's what I want to know. Woggies. Oh, that's when Jimmy Chu arrived, right? Morning, Patrick. How are you? It's life, but not as we know it, Jim. To Jim White that he's just walked into. That's not true for my dogs. They warn with barking, and if you don't heed the warning, they bite. My goodness. Bon dia. When you see Matty with his dogs, he's got a leather overcoat on and two hounds. They're hounds. They're not dogs. On leashes, pulling away there. No, they don't pull. They're very well trained, but he does cut a dash. He looks like a character from The Matrix when he goes out for a walk with his two dogs. Especially now with his bald head. Bon dia, winds have died down, dry but overcast here in beautiful Bairrada. So he's been off the Migas for a couple of days then. Stay in your lane, you bothersome monkey, you. There we go. Nice, another translation there. How old are these comments? 9:20, back to Underpant Gate. Better mow the lawns before the rains. Is that a Portuguese phrase? Is that, or is it a Brazilian phrase? Mow the lawn before it rains. Yes, the ultimate Brazilian phrase, you could say. Raj, bon dia. The important thing is that we are able to meet at the same place at the same time, Joao and Jeff. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to talk to each other. Thank God we are tuned in today. So yes, at your expense there, though, Jeff, at 3:30 in the morning, right? Let's organise a GMP party on the beach in San Martín de Porto, so our community can get to meet each other. Are you allowed barbecues on the beach? Well, I'm thinking, the green area, Gary. If we gather there in the summer on a Wednesday, some people can be on the beach if that's what they prefer. I'm thinking of a game of rounders or softball on that. Can you imagine the Gumpers? There's going to be some underpants broken the day we play softball together, right? On that home run around the home run of glory around that green area there. And then some people can be in Palmeira or the Café de Fonche, whichever. That's going to be the place to be, I think. I'm not sure about barbecues on the beach. William, every time I make a cup of tea, I think of you, William. Bon dia, Carl, and all you lovely Gumpers. And every time I don't have any Marmite to put on my toast, I think of you, William. Missing your climate, can't wait to get back. And yes, looking forward to seeing you too. And not just for the tea bags and Marmite, William. How's it going over there? Kathy, just learn how to order Café con cheirinho. There you go. That'll be a nice little surprise for you. Portuguese will come to you naturally, or maybe lots of pointing and shouting, but you are sure to remember how awesome you were. Indeed. Good coaching there from Pete. Right. Got to get to that Droves article. Portuñol or Españolish. There we go. That's Nuno would know about that with a shared heritage there. Okay, that would be a proper right. We're going to do it. Beach rave. Can you imagine? Yes, let's do that. It's called a dead cat, not a hairy muff, everybody. Just to save you any embarrassment while shopping online. One bonus of learning Portuguese is that I now understand a bit of Spanish and Italian. I'm just thinking, hold on a minute, Pam. I must rewind to that comment because I just said, didn't I? It's called a dead cat, not a hairy muff. That is probably not that helpful. None of that searching online is going to help particularly. But a dead cat is the when you sometimes you see when you shouldn't see in a film the microphone boom coming in and it's a hairy one coming into the shot. That is what's called the dead cat, to stop the stop wind. The sound of this is such a difficult conversation to have, but it stops the blowing, the wind, the unwanted sound on your recordings, and you cover your microphone with the dead cat and not the hairy muff, as I recently described it. One bonus of learning Portuguese is that I now understand a bit of Spanish and Italian. Very good. Bonus. Nice one. I have never seen rain like Coimbra, and I'm from Manchester. That is saying something, folks. Believe you me. I was out this morning walking with Terence with the sound of nightingales as a backdrop. How lovely. And a nightingale sang in central Portugal. It's not Faro. I believe it's Faro. All right. Is that aimed at me? Such a slug magnet. Michelle, every morning I get greeted by the sparrows, the blackbirds, the goldfinches, the turtle doves, and the wagtails actually residing in my garden. There you go. A picture of a Portuguese garden from João F there. The London Marathon took me 4 hours and 45 minutes. What took you, coach? It was 28 degrees and all my training had been done in the cold weather. I ran faster 3 weeks later. I think that's very respectable. In a race over the Chiltern Hills in the snow. And to Matty, we weren't taxed for moving. Is that an EU thing? I know from US, if you ship stuff, it needs to be some special paperwork. And yeah, customs duty, I guess, is how we're getting confused there. Duty, import duty, not tax per se. Okay, just learning the Portuguese names is a work in progress. Yeah, but very helpful. All part of the process, right? That is pretty good thing. A good going, coach, for your 4 hours 45. I would say so. I think that Isto need to put some in the jukebox or the electric meter. Why did you say that? Some of the models need a good chicken dinner, I would say. Why move to Portugal if not to meet and hang out with the Portuguese, especially the good ones? Yes, João, indeed. Carl, he's available for lunch. If you want to take a proper Portuguese person out for lunch, talk to João or Antonio. I'm sure they'd be delighted to be taken out for lunch so that you can talk to them and learn a thing or two. Carl, you did look great in that Mac, but whenever you opened it, all the women ran, "Stop it, Pete." I was waiting for that. It's why I've gone back to sprinting. I now do distance by proxy. I have two sons doing 100-kilometer ultras over the next few weeks. Madness, it sure is. A bit Maoist for Doug. Yeah, I see what you mean there. I did think that. It did look a bit communistic, didn't it? Let's go back to that and have another look. Can you see Doug in that work jacket? It looks nice. Did you see it briefly there on the screen? It looks quite nice when it's not buttoned up like you're in the workshop. But yeah, let me just click on that so that you can see it. I think, yeah, you got a point there. It is a little bit on the Maoist side, isn't it? The men's work jacket there, especially when it's modeled. But I love that. I think that's a great bit of clothing. Thank you very much, Prof. At Pam, I was asking if you're referring to Manchester as in Manchester, England, because it's hard to imagine Coimbra being rainier than Manchester. The battle for the rainiest city begins here and maybe ends here. I hate running, says Pete. Far easier to do weights or just farm work. Yes, the green gym, but pushing myself to do a 5K next month. Off to do some tractoring now. See you later, Pete. A smut level has immediately gone down. No, he's left the room. I can just about fit into one of their double XL scarves. American ordering clothes overseas. Of course, they would assume all sizes are the same as in the US, EU, and UK and US. Yeah, the EU, UK, and US sizes are all different. Be careful with that. And Carl, have you checked you're still a medium in the UK recently, or is that the Pastéis de Nata conversion? No, I think I am. I mean, that was being so average in build. It was great going to Marks and Spencer's or Gap or places like that, because I could just go and get the clothes and know they would fit. But I've had to scale up to the next level. Where can we find these clothes, Carl? That is a very good question. Isto.pt, which I will put in. I'm going to do more, and I want to get somebody on from the company onto the show. Right, it'd be great to talk to them. That's gone into Maxine. That's gone into the comments now. I went into a Portuguese clothes shop. Here we go. It's a joke, and was eventually redirected to a tent and emergency shelter manufacturer. But he's here all week. 2 shows on Saturday. Thank you, T-Duck, for that. Bon dia, Portugal. All the best to all from Diogo. Okay, so before we run out of time, and I'm going to very quickly, free car hire for tourists. The historic villages of Portugal and Renault Portugal have teamed up to provide free electric vehicles for tourists, residents, and companies. Let me get this onto the screen for you. No, not that one. Different one. Let me just find this. And we might have to carry over the American droves to tomorrow at this rate. You keep distracting me with all your lovely comments this morning. But here, free car hire then. This is an interesting and useful thing potentially. If you haven't driven an electric car before, you might like to take advantage of this offer. According to a report by Publi Tourists, Aldeia Históricas de Portugal and Renault Portugal, in partnership with the municipality of Fundão. What is it about Fundão? So progressive over there. Have just launched a project that makes electric vehicles available free of charge, folks, for tourists, residents, or professionals who work in the territory. To access this service, and do you know what? I'm going to put this into the chat for you so you can look this up at your leisure. Copy link address. To access this service, reservations can be made on the link I'm going to put in the chat or in person at the Castelo Novo Historic Village Tourist Office for those who choose to travel by train to the territory. Transfer services are also guaranteed from the railway stations of Castelo Novo, Alpedrina, or Fundão. I've heard that referred to as Alpedrama with some of the expat goings on there. This pilot project, which starts with 5 electric Renault vehicles, may extend to areas beyond mobility, in order to reinforce the village as a reference in the field of sustainability and be replicated in the remaining 11 villages in the network. Isn't that a great idea? Isn't that a very good idea? Because you're not thinking about laying on an extra bus a day. You're giving people vehicles in those villages. I'm going to put the link in so you can do that. Can you imagine that? If you put Fundão on your itinerary when you're scouting in Portugal, you get to drive an electric vehicle as well. And free of charge as well. Isn't that excellent? Okay, so let's get rid of that for now. Probably a theme we will return to, right? And let's talk then very quickly, and this will be ongoing, this story about There Goes the Neighborhood. That's a very clickbaity, isn't it? There goes the neighborhood, and whatever you think about them, Americans are now moving to Portugal in droves. And I thought, they're moving in droves. What is a drove? Actually, what is a drove? Just before I bought my house in Portugal, says Stephen, who wrote this, Kamaluski. I don't think I've got that right, but let's just go with Stephen for the time being then, and have a quick look at this before the end of today's show. There goes the neighborhood. Stephen, just before I bought my house in Portugal almost 10 years ago, I was sitting next to an old Portuguese man on a flight out of Lisbon. When he asked me what I was doing in Portugal, I told him, looking for a house, some property to buy. He suddenly looked at me hard, took a good grip on my forearm in the way only elders should do, and with one hand, and pointed at me with the other. Now was the time to buy in Portugal, young man. Do it. It's like sitting next to who's the white beardy bloke from Lord of the Rings? It sounds like that sort of encounter, doesn't it? I want to call him Baldric. It's not Baldric on Lord of the Rings. Now's the time to buy in Portugal. Now! Do it! Buy now! He's shouting at me on the plane. That was early 2013. My plan wasn't to retire in Portugal the way other Americans and non-Americans are like. And it's an expat thing, isn't it, to differentiate yourselves from others of your kind. Have you noticed that? Now Americans are like, think about retirement. Something like evenings out on the veranda, entertaining friends after a round of golf or a day of fishing with a little more to do or think about. No, I just wanted, says Stephen, somewhere to live, a place I could afford with very little money I had and no mortgage in mind. So after a couple of trips within the same year to look at a variety of properties on site, I finally found what I was looking for. I feel a song coming on. A sufficiently habitable old farmhouse on a small plot, 20 minutes drive from Coimbra, with 2 floors, 2 bedrooms, 1 full bathroom. This is not going to help, is it? This is going to further stimulate the influx. 1 full bathroom, combined kitchen, living room, and a walled garden are negotiated with a nice old British couple down from €50,000 to €43,000. And that was it. With my skills as a carpenter and a Portuguese friend, the house has since improved and expanded over the recent years for a mere pittance. Needless to say, the housing market landscape in Portugal, as well as the demographics, has since been changing dramatically. And that's where we come in here and have the discussion, right? Under the radar is the next heading, subheading. One of the things that I found most appealing about Portugal at the time was that most people, besides the Brits, who've pretty much been trying to keep the place under their hat since, it's a big hat, since the Windsor Treaty of 1386, were hardly interested in it at all, especially Americans. As a matter of fact, not many wanted to come to Portugal for much of anything, really. As tourist hotspots go, Portugal didn't even make the top 30 most popular countries for Americans to visit less than 5 years ago, according to websites like Statista. and loveexploring.com. In terms of investment ideas, it was a high-risk country, and few considered it as a place to move or actually move to. The image of Portugal as the backwater of Europe was ensconced in the minds of many. Portugal was furthermore part of the EU pig countries. Yes, Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, Spain, which were in economic turmoil, terribly in debt and crippled by stringent austerity measures. That is going back a bit, though, right? To the better regarded EU members and to that of America. These underperforming countries were akin to that special needs classroom of students you walked by in public school and wondered what their problem might be in relation to everyone else. In short, says Stephen, it was my kind of place. The marginalized kid few wanted to hang out with was always the one I gravitated to. The popular jocks and prom queens never carried much social intrigue for me. It's a kind of backhanded compliment, isn't it? In a nutshell, the height of the Portuguese financial crisis occurred from 2010 to 2014, which was part of the wider downturn of the Portuguese economy that started in 2001 and ended between 16-17. 20 years ago, growth stalled in Portugal as a result of the internal economic crisis, which was exacerbated by the Great Recession. That hit the country in 2008. Unable to repay or refinance its government debt, Portugal applied for bailout programs from the IMF, the EFSM, could be a backstory here, and the EFSF in April 2011 at the tune of 78 billion euros. However, with austerity discipline and good fiscal helmsmanship, you see the picture is changing now. Within these words, as Stephen tells it, Portugal exited the bailout in 2014. The same year, positive economic growth reappeared after 3 years of recession. By 2016, the socialist government had achieved a 2.1 budget deficit, which was the lowest since the restoration of democracy in 1974. And the next year saw the highest growth rate of the economy by 2.7% since year 2000, when the nightmare first began to unfold. I think we're going to read more of this tomorrow. But it was one particular thing. Oh, yeah, I highlighted it earlier. Rags to riches then. Americans currently rank 25th, I think, in incomers. But that could be changing the way things are going, as the number of Americans moving to Portugal has more than doubled from 2020, when it was a mere 1,115. Doubling of that. It's amazing what you can do with statistics, isn't it? But it doubled from 2020, 1,115, to 2021 to 2,477. It's not a massive amount, is it? And almost quadrupled since 2018, when it was just 714, based on new residence permits issued. According to the statistical information, there were 6,921 Americans living in Portugal in 2021, as opposed to only 2,426 in 2013, when I got my proverbial foot in the door. For the most part, then, I'll end here for the time being and go to a couple of your comments. For the most part, America has become a broken country for its citizens, says Stephen, on the verge of becoming what appears to be a downright failed state for many. Is that a bit harsh? Income earnings and wages have not kept pace with the exorbitant cost of living that has been on the rise. Housing has become untenable for most Americans, whether trying to buy or merely rent. The approximate cost of a home in San Diego area, and I was talking to people from San Diego yesterday, in 1996, a home in San Diego was $300,000. The same house would sell for $1,288,994 on the given market calculated for 2021. Would you agree with what Stephen is saying here and his assessment? This will run and run, won't it? Will be a conversation we will continue to have. So back to the comments. It's 10 o'clock. We've got to hold a minute. We're Americans and deeply grateful that Portugal took us. We'll do our best to earn that welcome. That's the spirit, Sarah. Thank you very much for that in Setúbal. And what I love is the chode range of clothing in Portugal. What does that mean? Wider than tall. Okay, chode. Is that a brand? I've not seen that. The slug would have to send representatives, as his kind cannot leave the redwoods without facing his mortality. Yeah, that sounds very Lord of the Rings as well. Colonization by slugs. Yeah, that's a big community. It's worth taking. Oh, we're still back in clothes here, aren't we? Yes, well, of course we're back in clothes, but you see what I mean with the clothing conversation. It's worth taking your measurements in centimeters and keeping them on your phone. Clothing sizes vary from shop to shop. Try it on. Learn the language necessary for trying clothes on. What could possibly go wrong? Bond it all. Marketing is everything at the moment, but timing is also important. The financial climate at the moment is a little difficult to justify some prices. Yeah, dead cats. I call the dog poo bags as dead cats bags after an accident from leaving the said bags on the near side tyre. Oh no, before disposing of, I drove away in the some people are having breakfast, William. Okay, Manchester rainfall is 1,047. The things you learn here, Coimbra rainfall is 914 millimetres. I don't think it's necessarily the amount, is it? It's the intensity she may be talking about there. But look at Prof, straight to the stats. Question is, do they have enough charging points in Fundao? Yes, a question that you electric car drivers have in the back of your mind wherever you go, right? Where can we find out about the Central Region free car hire? It's in there, right above your comment there, Gary. We'll do our best to earn that welcome. Don't you worry about that, says Joel F. We usually start by welcoming foreigners, even without knowing them at all. It is a great start, and it hasn't gone unnoticed, Antonio F. Cindy B, good gumpers, fondle that like button for this rather transportive show. Thank you. A few years ago, there was a trend to having cars you could book for hours at a time and pick up in city locations. You can do it with the Leroy Merlin van, can't you? It mustn't have caught on for some reason. I think it's quite a big shift for people. Excuse me, I just need to cough. Thank you for allowing me to do that for just a moment. Yeah, I think it's quite a big shift, isn't it? Not owning a car. Okay, all my chargers are going to be used now. Yeah, sorry about that. Thank God it's only 5 vehicles. I wonder why someone had nicked my spot in Ocean recently. That's granular level detail there. That's proper wet, says Michelle. Why? How wet is it? There in Inishvale in Queensland, 3,552 millimeters. That's rainforest rain. It's not called the rainforest for no reason, you know. 10 sleeps until back in Portugal to view the new dream house. Gary will be talking to us about the ups and downs of trying to buy a home soon. But I want to get him on a screen with someone who's got the solutions as well, because he's had some hard-won and difficult experiences, that man. We'll hear about that, but we'll have somebody on the screen with the solutions to those problems that he will articulate with us. According to Miriam, what is this, a new kind of Alexa? A drove is a large number. A crowd, usually used in plural, especially with in droves. I see. Okay, thank you very much for that. But I have noticed the ones in Castelo Branco are busier. There you go. That'll be the reason why. Oof, says Victoria. Possibly not happy about some of the content of that article. To be honest, I quite like the parking. Tesla are not so good. Use the Mio app. I am spoiled, as most of them are unknown. Shush, keep it quiet. Sorry, Pete, too late. Does anyone know if you need a special charger socket for an e-car? I have a normal socket in the garage. I think adapters are available. Greetings from Adnan. Good morning. I'm really looking to settle in Portugal, and I'm really concerned about the current system, whether it will change this year. We don't know, Adnan. I suspect not. They've got enough problems at the moment at CEF. I think there'll be a status quo whilst they rise like a phoenix from the ashes of extinction. Americans coming swelled in 2018. That's when Trump became president. No surprise there. I use my regular plug with my UK adapter. Works great, says Susan. Thank you, Susan. Another lurker who pops forward with a nugget of help. We love you for that. Pam, for a car, she says. So you need an adapter? I don't have an e-car yet, just thinking about it. I think it will be a problem easily solved, Pam, and no better community than this to talk about electric cars. And then finally, thank you very much. Until tomorrow. Sorry, I've had to miss a few comments, but we'll be back. Of course, we will tomorrow with the wonderful Frank. Tonight with the webinar, we can, if you've got any insurance questions at all, join us for the webinar at 9 o'clock with the Premium Plus members on that call, on the Zoom call. And hopefully I'll have my Zoom sorted out by then. It keeps crashing. We are talking about where to live in Portugal. One of my favorite subjects, San Martinho de Porto syndrome. Have I got time to quickly give you my blog post about San Martinho de Porto syndrome? If you've ever heard me talking about San Martinho de Porto syndrome, I wrote a little blog article about it yesterday, which I'm going to share with you now. The link, that is. I'm not going to read it out now. It's past 10 o'clock. I need to go and darn my underpants or something now. Actually, take Jimmy Choo out for a walk. But on my blog there, which is now in the comments, you can find out about San Martinho de Porto syndrome, the problem of finding out where to live and where to settle in Portugal. Some solutions. It's ongoing, folks. It's ongoing. There are just so many beautiful places to be here. It's not an easy nut to crack. Farewell until tomorrow, lovely, says Michelle. The pooches are calling for their walk. So's mine. Have a lovely walk, Antonio is saying to you. And James, wishing you a good day. And all of us, let's extend that to everybody. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Oh, Granny, what's that? Granny charge cable. That is for connecting to the standard grid outlet socket. Granny, as it takes more time than fast or superchargers. So there you go. Well, I think we've got to the bottom of that. Final comment then about the article. Most of the Americans I've met here came for the same reasons. Those Trump supporters come because they hate socialism for others, but want the benefits themselves. Ooh, and Andrew, just in, high and a buy. And isn't it great to be able to run a show and have that comment on the screen and then say goodbye? Have a great day, everybody. Ciao, ciao.